him up and take him to school in the morning and pick him up from school at night. And then if I had to go to work, drop him off at his mother's house or with my mother or her mother or whoever. Mm-hmm. And I would be able to save that money. But because I don't work a job where I can set my own hours, that doesn't happen. But if I was making a little more money than necessary, or not than necessary, but if I was making a livable wage that I was comfortable with, it wouldn't stress me out that today I had to go spend $82 on his school, and he's there for maybe an hour and a half a day at the most. Because when I know when I take him, I get him there just in time for him to get on the bus and go to school, which personally I feel like I would rather, on the days I could, just take him to school, but his mother wants him to get in the routine of getting on the bus and blah, 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 so I'm not going to argue because It's a fucking ridiculous thing to argue about, and I would prefer to pick my battles.
Fair.
But, like it's not like he needs to be there because we both work until midnight every day, and like it just, if I was a little more comfortable, then it wouldn't bother me that I have to send him there because whatever, I can take care of it. Mm-hmm. I can handle that money.
Right.
But because thankfully I have a couple of very good friends in my life. This weekend I got myself into a little bit of a bind. I had forgotten to postpone my car insurance payment, which was set to come out yesterday. Normally, or if I have to, I'll postpone it a few days until I know I'm going to get my next paycheck, and then I'll be able to cover it. Right. I forgot to postpone it, and I looked at my bank account, and I had considerably less money than was in my mind that I had.
Right.
So thankfully, I have a few good people in my life. A couple of them help me out a little bit, and I eventually have to give them their help back. But right. If I didn't have, and thankfully I have that kind of support system amongst my friends that, it wasn't even something that I asked for. I was just, I ran into a buddy of mine, and he asked me about my day. I told him what was going on, and he said, "Oh, well, I said, "Well, no, you don't have." No, it's fine. And he Venmo'd me a few bucks, and it helped me out. And right. But not everybody has that luxury. So if something like that happens, there are too many situations where a bad week can cost you for the next 3 or 4 months. And that's just not right in a country where 4 people have enough money that they could eliminate world hunger and still have enough money to do it again. And it's because people like us are not making enough money because the people who have all the money don't give a shit about the people who work for them. And that shouldn't be the case because without us, they don't make the money that they make.
Right. I can't really speak to
my manager didn't take lunch the other day because it was the day after Black Friday and we were insanely busy, and she was just like, "I'm not going to lunch today." And you shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't have to say, because the company needs me to be working, I'm going to be here for 8 hours and I'm not going to sit down and eat for 30 minutes. So the next day, at one point she was a little frazzled. And she was, "What was I supposed to be doing?" I said, "What you need to do is go eat. Go eat lunch. I'll take care of this, whatever, I'll take care of what you're doing until you get back. Go eat." We shouldn't have the mindset that the company is more important than our own well-being. Exactly.
Right.
And
I agree with that.
And they've got us conditioned to think that we need to put the company first over ourselves. And I'll say right now,
that's a philosophy.
I'll walk the fuck out of a place before I put anybody's well-being over myself and my son.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know if that's
And
that's the people that have conditioned us.
And the fact that we can go to a job and work 8+ hours a day, and they are only legally required to let us sit down and eat for 30 minutes is fucking ridiculous as well. And the fact that you have to clock out to go eat lunch is fucking stupid as well. And maybe that's not so stupid, because if you're not working, why should you get paid? Fine, whatever. But the fact that they only give us 30 minutes, or they only have to, granted, at my job, if you work 7 or more hours, you can take an hour for lunch. But, of course, then that's an hour that you're not getting paid.
For, yeah.
And the minimum is 30 minutes, which is fucking disgusting. Like, especially if you work at a place where, like, and granted, sure, you could bring your own lunch and save yourself some time.
Yeah.
But still, you have to go clock out, make it to the break room, get your food, sit down. Like, it just the process of getting to your lunch takes 10 minutes. And then you've only got 20 minutes to relax before you have to go back to work and finish out the next 4 hours of your shift. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it happens because we let it happen.
Well, I think it also happens because we're not super motivated to learn new skills.
Maybe, but
like I'm thinking right now about how most of my adult life I've worked in the service industry.
Yeah, same.
And like to like, yes, now I'm working for a garter company. Never done it before. I'm making really good money doing that.
Right.
And I don't know what I'm doing for the most part, aside from doing what I'm told. And I'm great at that.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's in my head, I'm like, there's a lot of other jobs that need to be done, you know? Yeah. And there's a lot of different, like, things that a person could do to learn how to do those things. Taking direction being the top of the list.
Right.
Like,
but there are a lot of places that don't afford you that opportunity. Like you're lucky you're in a position where your friend who runs the business needed help.
Right.
And so he said, "Hey, Dwayne, you're pretty good with your hands. Come help me."
Right.
And you have the ability to learn on the job because he's your friend and he knows that he can trust you and you're reliable. So he's like, "All right, sure. I'll teach him as we go." It's not, it's not rocket science, so it should be fine. But then there are some places that require you have like 2 or 3 different degrees, and to do that costs a ridiculous amount of money as well, because the minimum wage has stayed the same as college tuition has gone up 200%. I don't know the exact numbers, but like
it's ridiculous.
Our parents could have gone to college for $3,000 a year, which would be doable working at McDonald's,
right?
Or fucking waiting tables or whatever. Today, you need to sell a kidney to afford a college tuition.
Do you think that maybe like rather than addressing minimum wage, we need to be like the thing that would be better addressed would be the education system?
That's absolutely something else that needs to be addressed. I don't know that one is better to address than the other, but they're both fucked.
Right.
And it's I read something that actually made me laugh the other day. It said, why is college so expensive, but from like preschool to high school you get to go for free? And then somebody commented, well, that was the trial period. This is your subscription. Like your trial period is over, and now here's your... Like, if we can make... If I could go to high school for free, why can't I go to college for... Like, when I graduated high school, I didn't want to go to college. I never wanted to go to college. School is not for me. It's not my thing, right?
Yeah. Agreed.
But I decided to... I went to a community college in Brooklyn, which was essentially like 13th grade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It was basically the same thing, except now it was costing me money to go to school as opposed to go to high school. It cost me the cost of a trip on the bus.
Right.
Like, so, and it just doesn't make sense that you need to go into debt at 21, which that say you go to college right after high school, graduate in 4 years with a degree. Mm-hmm. At 21, if you didn't get a scholarship and you couldn't pay for it yourself, you have to take out loans. Right. So before you're even old enough to rent a car, you're thousands upon thousands of dollars in debt. And then you have to work for the rest of your life. There are people who have been out of college for 20 years who are still paying off their college loans. That's fucking ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. For that, you should be a professor. Yeah. Like, you might as well be, like, you could own a house after 20 years if you're giving them the same amount of money every month that you give in college. After you're gone. It's fucking ridiculous. And it shouldn't be the case. And then everyone's, the big thing against Bernie Sanders is people say he wants to give everybody stuff for free. He wants to get free college, free healthcare, blah, 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 blah. It's not free. All he wants to do is allot the taxes that we're already paying. Yeah. And move them away from the big pharmaceutical companies or whoever the fuck has their hands in the government's pockets that's getting the money. And the endless war that we've been in for almost 20 goddamn years now. Yeah. And reallocate those funds, the money we're already paying into the system. Mm-hmm. From the time we start working, we're paying money into the system, Social Security, federal tax, state tax, all that bullshit. Right. And he wants to do that and give us that money back in, okay, here, you can go to the doctor and it's not going to cost you your house. You can go to school and it's not going to make it so that your son has to finish paying off your loan when you're dead. Yeah. And and it'll never happen because there are too many people in power in this country who have all of it and want the rest of us to have none of it so they can keep it. And they're basically saying, fuck, like, why do we not have... See, now I'm just going off on a rant now about stuff we weren't... Go. Like, I'm not against guns. I don't have a problem with people who want guns. If you want to go hunt, fine, whatever. If you own a gun, I don't care. There's no reason, though, that if you're fucking Joe Schmo in the middle of fucking nowhere, that you need an assault rifle capable of killing 30 people in 10 seconds. Yeah. You don't need that. Yeah. Absolutely, you don't need that. And all these people who are, you're not going to take my guns. We need these guns to rise up against the oppressive government. Fucking do it. You'd be better off. Go ahead. Storm Washington.
Or Area 51, whatever.
Get them. Do something. You fucking, like, the fact that I have to worry every single day that somebody's going to lose their mind and my son might not come home is not something that I should have to worry about in the richest, most powerful country in the world. But we don't do anything about guns because the NRA has their hands in politicians' pockets. They've bought and sold fucking everybody. And it pisses me off because, again, like I said at the top of the show, we are supposed to be a government of the people, by the people, for the people. Yeah. And they don't give a fuck about the people. They don't. There should be term limits for senators, term limits for anybody in power so that you don't have some fucking 90-year-old piece of shit who's been in fucking Congress since he was 20 making rules that affect me and my son and my friends and family and whoever. Right. That's why, say what you want about, people can say what they want about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. We need more people like her because she's our age, if not a little bit younger. So she was a bartender, and now she's a congresswoman. So she still has the will of the people behind her. Right. We need more people like. That's why if I had the fucking money, I would run for president next year because I'm